But now let's talk about the arange function in the NumPy package. The arange function simply returns a range of numbers. So for example, if you pass 1 and 5, then it is going to return a range of numbers from 1 all the way up to 5, but not 5 itself. Remember that this value is exclusive, and by default the step is 1. So by default the step is 1. So now if I store the result in a variable, let's say called x, and if I print the x variable, and if I run a code, so as you can see it returns 1 all the way up to 5, but not 5 itself, with a step of 1. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and as you can see the step is 1. But for example, if you pass 5.1, then it means that you want all the values, you want a range of numbers from 1 all the way up to 5.1, but not 5.1 itself, with a step of 1. So as I've said, the default step for the arange function is 1. So it means you want all the values from 1 all the way up to 5.1, but not 5.1 itself, with a step of 1. So now if I run the code, you can see here are the results from 1 all the way up to 5. And as you can see, all the values are floats because this value is float. So now if we pass the third argument, which is the step, so for example, if we pass 0.5, which is the step, it means that we are going to return a range of numbers from 1 all the way up to 5, but not 5 itself, with a step of 0.5. So now if I run a code, you can see it returns a range of numbers from 1 all the way up to 5, but not 5 itself, because 5 is exclusive, with a step of 0.5. So you can see 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, and 4.5. So now let's talk about some notes. And if you pass just one number to the arange function, for example, if you passed 5, then the starting point, by default, the starting point is going to be considered as 0. So this is equivalent to passing range of 0 all the way up to 5, but not 5 itself. So if you pass just one number to the arange function, then the starting point is going to be considered as 0 by default. And as you know, the step is again by default 1. So here it is going to return all the values from 0 all the way up to 5. And as you know, the default step is 1. I mean, when I say the default step, I mean if you don't pass nothing for the step, then the step is going to be considered as 1. So this is going to return all the values from 0 all the way up to 5, but not 5 itself, with a step of 1. So now if I run the code, you can see here is the result. But now, for example, if I pass 5.1, so it means that a range of numbers between 0 all the way up to 5.1, but not 5.1 itself, with a step of 1. And now if I run the code, you can see it returns these values from 0 all the way up to 5. And as you can see, the step is 1, and all the values are float because this value is float. But as you know, Python itself has a built-in function which is called range. And one of the big differences between the Python built-in function range and the NumPy arange function is this, that you can't pass a float number to the range function. So the range function doesn't accept a float number for the starting point or the stopping point or the step. So the range function, the built-in Python range function, doesn't support floats, but the arange function in the NumPy package does support the floats. Now I really suggest you to watch this video which is on the screen now.